Morning grade 11. Good morning grade 11. So now we are moving on to 1.5. Refer to the fact file below which shows the advantage and disadvantage of wind energy as a non-conventional source of energy. Wind energy is an example of non-conventional. So what are the advantages? Renewable and clean source of energy, lower operating cost, efficient use of land space. What are the disadvantages? Intermittent, noise and visual pollution, some adverse environmental impact. So this is an example of a non-conventional source of energy. So these advantages and disadvantages. So please be attentive to detail, guys. Don't ignore this. Whenever you have a question that provides you with information, try to go through the information so that you can have an idea of what this is all about. So this is very important. Let's move on now to the questions so that we do not waste time. Why is wind a renewable source of energy? That is the first question. It is an energy source that can naturally replenish itself. It can naturally replenish itself. Can naturally replenish itself. Can naturally replenish itself. It is the energy source that can naturally replenish itself. That's why it's called a renewable source of energy. How can wind power as a renewable source of energy reduce greenhouse emissions? How can it reduce greenhouse emissions? It lowers the demand and the use of fossil fuels, which means if we have got more of the wind energy, it's now lowering the demand of thermal power. Lowers the demand and the use of fossil fuels. That's what it does. That's how it can actually reduce greenhouse energy emissions. It lowers the demand and the use of fossil fuels. Then state the negative environmental reasons for using wind as a source of energy. The negative environmental reasons for using as a source of energy. 2.5.3. It is the threat to wildlife. It is a threat to wildlife. It destroys ecosystems. Destruction of habitats. Those are some of the things that you can actually include. Removing natural vegetation and deforestation required to set up wind farms. So that in itself, that's how it actually affects the environment negatively. It also affects the aesthetic nature of the natural environment. So those are things that you can actually talk about. Then number 2.5.4, why is South Africa location favored the development of wind energy? Why is it favored the development of wind energy? 2.5.4, we are talking about it is located at altitude that receive high sunlight, which cause pressure differences. It is located at altitude that receive high sunlight, which cause pressure differences. Then also the coastline provides enough wind areas for this energy to be harnessed. That's another one. The coastal areas provide enough wind areas for its energy to be harnessed. So those are some of the things that you can actually include. Then lastly, or before I do 2.5.5, let me try to read to this question. Why is wind renewable source of energy? We have said that for 2.5.1, it is an energy source that can naturally replenish itself. That's what we have said. It can naturally replenish itself. Of course, it can actually naturally replenish itself. Think of renewable energy. What is the difference between renewable and non-renewable? Renewable, that's basically where we are coming from. It can naturally replenish itself. How can wind power as a source of energy reduce greenhouse emissions? 2.5.2 are saying it lowers the demand and the use of fossil fuels. That's basically what we are talking about. State the negative environmental reasons for using wind as a source of energy. What are negative impacts in as far as wind as a source of energy is concerned? That's basically what you're talking about. It is a threat to wildlife, like your birds, of course. It destroys ecosystems, destruction of habitats. Removing natural vegetation or deforestation, to be specific, is required to set up the wind farm. So that's how it negatively affects the environment, or it actually affects the aesthetic nature of the natural environment, the beauty of the natural environment, causing what we call visual pollution. That's what we are talking about. You can remember visual pollution from your grade 7, 8, 9 technology. Then why is South African location favor the development of wind energy? Why is South African location, where South Africa is located, how does it favor the development of wind energy? That's basically what we are talking about. 2.5.4. It is located at latitude that receive enough sunlight to cause pressure differences. Wind, it moves from higher to lower pressure. That's basically what we are talking about. So where it's located, it favors it receives enough sunlight to receive to cause pressure differences. Okay, that our wind move from high to low pressure. So that is what is favored by the location of South Africa in terms of its latitude where it's found. Then in a paragraph of approximately 8 lines, explain the benefits of wind energy to the economy of South Africa. What are the benefits of wind energy to the economy of South Africa? What are the benefits? Number one, it is cheaper as it requires wind to work. It is cheaper as it requires wind to work. So we are saying now the first one, it is cheaper. Okay. It only requires wind to work. That's what we are saying. It is cheaper. It only requires wind to work. So that's number one. We are saying it is cheaper. Why? It only requires wind to work. So I'm just trying to give this, because this is your factor, this is your qualifier. It is cheaper because it only requires wind to work. That's what it requires. So I've explained my point in few. I'm not going to write all, but just to give you some hints on how you can answer your paragraph question. The next one will be, it creates jobs in the setting up and maintenance of wind turbines. So it creates jobs in the setting up and maintenance of wind turbines. That's something that you can also write there. People learn skills that could be put in use in other sectors of the economy. So people can learn skills that could be put in use in other sectors of the economy. That's something that you can also add. And maintenance costs are minimum in as far as wind energy generation is concerned. Maintenance costs are minimal. Then you can also say that it is affordable to homeowners and business to set up their own power grids. Okay, that's another advantage. Farmers can rent out land to wind farms. It is a green source of energy which saves the country on fines for excessive carbon emissions. So that's another thing that you can actually include. Guys, you are aware of how to answer using a paragraph question, but make sure your answer is got a factor and a qualifier. Make sure you provide as much information as possible. So this takes us to the end of our paper 2. I was now covering resources and sustainability. I'm going to upload this as well, the wallpaper today. So please make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you share, so that at least I can be able to improve in terms of the quality of the content that I will be sending you in as far as our favorite subject is concerned, that is geography. Thank you so much.